So you're going to have to stop playing with it so you can put it into an envelope and mail it to somebody. That's the hardest part, right? Hi, everybody. It's Julie. Welcome to Hello Monday. Today, I'm going to be making a spring themed interactive card, and I'm going to be working with Strawberry Fields, the Push Me Pull You die, and the brand new Berry Basket die. So, I've already pre stamped and die cut all of the images I wanted to work with from the Strawberry Fields set because it's going to make this go a whole lot easier if you have just a pile of these ready to go. And then I'm going to grab an A2 card. This is 4¼ by 5½ inches, and I've folded it at this point. And I'm going to use my T-square and make a very faint pencil line at 2 1/8 inches. So that's the center of my 4¼ front here. So once I've got that pencil line, I can go ahead and grab specific parts from the Push Me Pull You die. So I'm going to grab the thumb notch. And the great thing about the thumb notch die is that it has those flat edges there that help you line it up against the edge of your card and make sure that it's on there so it's not cattywampus. And I'm going to anchor that with washi tape, and then I'm going to grab the smaller of the 2-slot dies. There's a smaller one and a bigger one, or a wider one, I guess, if you will. And the pencil mark really helped me get those lined up straight because I was trying to eyeball it before and it no worky. Now, it's really important to remember to open up your card and send it flat through the machine so you don't end up with double slots through the back side of your card as well as the front. So I just want to get another thumb notch on the back of my card. So I'm just going to reposition that there on the back panel and then go ahead and send that through. So yeah, ask me how I know that you need to open up the card before you send it through. Okay, so there's going to be a liner piece that goes inside. So this is a 4¼ by 5½ inch panel, but it's just slightly smaller. I've trimmed off about 1/8 of an inch off one top edge and one side edge just to make it slightly smaller. And then I need to get a thumb notch in the same spot on that piece as well. So I'm going to go ahead and send that through the Gemini, and then I'll remove that. Now, sometimes washi tape will leave a sticky residue on the paper when you send it through such intense pressure. So I just keep one of those adhesive erasers handy and just erase any adhesive that happens to be, erase any of the residue that happens to be sitting on the paper surface there when I take that washi tape off. Now, I've got some cellophane bags. You could use plastic shopping bags or whatever, but you just need, you could even use a ribbon. But I had these cellophane bags and they were really long, so I just cut them into 1/2 inch strips, and then they're about, I want to say 10 or 11 inches long. I'm going to have some excess here, but I'm going to thread those through the slots. And then on the inside of the card, I'm going to go ahead and use a bit of that double-sided sticky tape to secure them together. Some people like to use the tiny attacher. I'm just going to use this double-sided sticky tape. And you want to make sure that you don't secure it so it's so tight that it doesn't slide. So you need a little bit of slack there. So I'm just testing my slack to make sure that it's going to slide easily when I attach the pull tab to it. So I'm going to trim off the excess there. And then the pull tab is going to get secured right there where I'm tapping my finger. So I'm just telling myself that's where my pull tab needs to go. Yeah. So now I'm going to oh, wow, it's too long. That's fine because you can trim off the excess. And that's the great thing about having it, too long. You can always take off the excess there. So I'm just going to make a little pencil mark so I know where to cut off the excess. And I just want it to go just past that second slot there so that it doesn't get hung up on it at any point when I'm making it go up and down. And then I'm going to add some more of that double-sided sticky tape right there over that same spot where I secured the strip of plastic or plastic bag or cellophane bag there. And then I'm going to line this up. And for some reason, I was really worried that it would not be straight. And so I grabbed some washi tape to kind of anchor it down there. And I haven't removed the liner at this point because sometimes when I get going, I don't realize that I'm not in the right position. I'm a little bit crooked or off or whatever. So I did this little hinge with the washi tape just to help me make sure I was getting it centered and not shifting and sliding it before I press firmly and anchor it down. Now, whether or not that really helped me or not, I don't know. So it's just like, well, that's what I did, so I'm sharing that. So then when you pull this tab, it's going to make that piece of cellophane go up and down. So now we're going to get to the decorative part of the card, and I'm going to take the berry basket die. I've die cut it once from some craft cardstock, and then I'm going to trim off the bottom flap because I really don't need it. And then I'll just trim off that. I was like, oh, that's right. I need to get rid of that little tab that's hanging off the edge there. So I'll just go ahead and you can whack it off with scissors if you wanted to. But since I had my paper trimmer in my hands, I was like, I'll just do it this way. And then I'm going to go ahead and fold the flap down. And lucky me, I sent this through my machine without putting any scratch paper down, but I didn't end up with any etch marks on the reverse side, so I could fold it down to create that, berry baskets have that nice little edge there. And then that's where that's going to fit, and it's going to hide that mechanism on the front side of the card. So the next thing I want to do is to give that just a little bit of dimension. You don't have to do this. You could just put double-sided sticky tape if you want, but I decided to put foam tape and just go ahead and strip that liner away and go ahead and press it into place. And it just kind of gives it a little bit of added dimension. So you don't have to do it that way. Then I got all my strawberries. See, they're all ready to go. And I've got a piece of chipboard that I've wrapped with some press and seal, so the sticky side is out. And this is just going to help me position these because I want to stuff my basket with these strawberries. And they kept sliding around on my work surface and they wouldn't stay in place. So then I was like, aha, use my little sticky mat. And then once I'm sure of where I want them, inside the basket, I'm just going to put some double-sided sticky tape on the back side of my basket there where it won't be seen. And then I'll just set that on top after I'm, like angle it this way, angle it that way. You know how we futz around with things. And then I'll press firmly and then they're secured there. And then I decided I wanted to add a couple more strawberries. So I'm going to trim off whatever's hanging out the bottom of the basket so it looks like they're stuffed inside there. And for some reason, that position seemed to look better to me than whatever else I was experimenting with. And then I decided, okay, now I want some of those strawberries to be peeking out the top. So I'm just going to add those the same way. I put some double-sided sticky tape on the back side and just press those strawberries into place. And that needs to cover up that whole mechanism there. Now, I want to make sure that nothing impedes the movement of whatever's going to be sliding up and down. So you could take a piece of scrap cardstock. I just took a piece of scrap typing paper and cut it to fit the back side of this. And then I'm just going to use some tape runner and glue that down onto the back side to make sure that I have a really nice smooth surface and that my sliding piece does not get hung up on any of those die cut strawberries. And then I'm going to add some foam tape, dimensional foam tape there on each side. And that's going to give some elevation. Now, later on, I actually added a double layer of foam tape to this because one layer I could tell was not going to cut it. So depending on how thick or thin your foam tape is, you might need a double layer of that foam tape on those sides there. So now I'm going to work on the piece that's going to be popping up. And I've grabbed 'Tis the Season because it has a spring sentiment in it. And I decided to cut apart two of the sentiments in there so I could mishmash and make my own sentiment. And I know that freaks out a friend of mine who when you cut stamps like that, but it's okay. You can mount them back together on your block the next time you want to use them the way they were originally intended and joined together. So I just made one quick, clean cut mark. So it'll be easy to line them up later on. So now I'm going to go ahead and position these where I want them to peek out under those strawberries that I've attached to one of those arches. I just die cut one of the arches from the Essentials by Ellen nested arches set. And this is going to work beautifully. I'm going to take my ink pads here, and all the inks that I used were Catherine Pooler inks, and I'll have those listed in the description. And I just went ahead and did a little bit of ombre stamping to get the sentiment there because I like it. It's fun, and I like the look. So now I'm just kind of determining where I need to glue that piece down, and I have added another piece of double-sided sticky tape at the top And then I'm going to secure the bottom of that mechanism right there. And I'm just kind of testing. If you press lightly and just test, a little bit where that's going to go, don't push really hard until you're sure that's where you want it. You can pop it off and move it around if you need to. But then once you've got it down, then you want to go ahead and press firmly to anchor it. And I want to make sure that I'm not having that piece come all the way down and cover up my slots, because then it'll hang out the bottom of my berry basket, and I don't want that to happen. So you do need to futz around with that and make sure whatever you're putting back there is clearing the top and not hanging out the bottom. So now that I've got that in place, I went ahead and mounted my basket over the top, and I'm going to grab some more foam tape. I'm going to come to the inside of the card, and I wanted to make a little channel because this thing because it's a narrow strip of plastic and it's a narrow strip of cardstock, it kind of bustles around on me. So I am going to take some foam tape and make a little channel there. And you can see there how I positioned all of my foam tape. And then I'll just peel off the liners and close the card. Now, sometimes I worry I'm going to get that piece hung up in the foam tape. So I want to make sure that I have it pulled out so it doesn't get caught in between that liner and the foam tape there. So I'm just going to go ahead and very carefully anchor that down because I've already removed all the liner paper, right? And so once it goes down, man, it's down for good. And then I'm just testing it to make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to do. Isn't that fun? I love that the little arrow on the tab there just tells you need to grab a hold of that and pull. And then you can go ahead and embellish the front however you want. And like I said, it really helps to have a whole bunch of the images pre-stamped and die cut so you can speed through this process, and the bulk of your time is spent, getting the mechanism ready to go. So I just added a couple of these little bees, and some things are popped up and some things are not. The bee I'm going to leave flush against the card front because I don't want that pop-up thing getting in the way and hanging up on the bee. So those are things you kind of have to think about before you start gluing them down permanently. And then I opened things up and added some stickles for some additional sparkle. And it's so much fun to make this. And then try to stop playing with it. I dare ya. So I hope you enjoyed that and you'll give it a try. And thanks for watching.